Hey there, Alan here from RVAcrossAmerica.net, and it's been kind of a long winter. It's March 3rd as I'm recording this now. Haven't made too many videos in the last couple of months, but I got a lot of stuff to share, and I want to start out with, I think, kind of an important one, talking about how independent are you when you're living in an RV, in an RV camper. It doesn't matter if it's a travel trailer or fifth wheel or a motorhome. How independent are you really? And what got me thinking about this was a couple of months ago, early in the winter, there was a power failure. It was early in the evening. I had just gone to bed. There were many, many hours before dawn. It was part of the winter where you have the long, long nights. Days are getting a lot longer now, which is really nice for early March. But when the power failure occurred, I am in a mixed development here. I've got some RV campers and there are some cabins. And I realized pretty quickly that the folks living in the cabins, well, no light, no heat, no refrigeration, pretty much immediately upon the loss of power. In an RV camper, not so much. You have a much greater degree of independence. And that's why I wrote an article that you're going to find at rvacrossAmerica.net/independence. And that's where I talk in somewhat greater detail about what I'm about to share with you now. I think what motivated me to put this video together is not just having the time, now that we're coming up towards the end of winter. Ski season is beginning to draw to a close. I was skiing yesterday. It was great. But, you know, the days, we're supposed to get into the 40s and maybe even the 50s this week. That's going to turn us into full-on spring skiing, and that just doesn't last real long. So we'll see how March bears out. The other big variable right now, and again, I'm recording this on March 3rd, 2020, is coronavirus. There's growing concern over it. There's growing areas of the country which are becoming hotspots, and people are getting locked down. And again, comes down to how independent are you really in an RV camper? How long could you be on your own without having outside help? So in my written article, again at rvacrossAmerica.net/independence, I talk about looking at heat, refrigeration, lighting, and water supply. And really, a long story short, as with everything I realize, having lived in a camper now for 9 years and spending 9 winters in the Rocky Mountains or thereabouts, I'm now in the Tetons in southeast Idaho. If you have prepared a little bit in advance, you can go quite a while in a camper without outside help. The two big things that have to be maintained are batteries and propane. Batteries are easy because if you have solar and if you have a generator, you can keep those batteries topped off at all times. And the reason for that is that pretty much everything in your camper is capable of running on 12 volts. Now, let me say this. My furnace runs on 12 volts. My refrigerator runs on 12/110 volt. It's a two-way refrigerator. It is not a residential fridge. And as a full-time RVer and as an RV consultant, I am not a fan of residential RVs, partially because of this reason. Residential refrigerators. You know, when my neighbors lost power in their cabins, they obviously have a residential refrigerator, and it immediately loses power. So unless they have a generator, they're done. Or an inverter with a solar panel set up. But you need quite a bit of power to power up a residential refrigerator. On the other hand, the two-way fridges, the ones made by Norcold and Dometic, and between the two, I'm more a fan of Norcold because Norcold has the cold weather kit, so Norcold will operate down to about 0 degrees Fahrenheit without any extraordinary effort on your part. As long as you have a two-way fridge, you're going to have refrigeration, as long as you have propane. Now, again, I point out in my article, again at rvacrossAmerica.net/independence, that for me, since I'm stationary for the winter, I have a 120-gallon tank, propane tank, sitting outside. That gives me weeks, if not months, of propane access. So I'm pretty independent in that area. If I didn't have that, I certainly could buy more propane bottles. The propane bottles that many of you are familiar with are the 20 pounders or the 30 pounders. Putting that into gallons, that's about 5 gallons, that's about 7 gallons. You can buy bigger, but obviously bigger means heavier. There's no way I'm moving a 120-gallon tank sitting outside my camper. And it'll sit there as long as I stay here. My intent, by the way, is to take off for the spring and summer. To be honest, COVID-19, the coronavirus, does have me a little bit concerned, and I'm kind of watching to see what's happening. It is kind of nice to be out here in the middle of nowhere so that I know that we're not on the front line of attack, and just watching this thing begin to develop across the country. So the batteries and the solar panels and the generator, as I mentioned, can recharge the batteries. The propane itself must be refilled periodically, depending on, again, how much of a propane storage ability you have. That'll determine exactly how long you're going to be able to have refrigeration, how long you're going to be able to have heat, how long you're going to be able to have light. As we get into this time of year, I don't use a whole lot of heat. I mean, I've got to maintain some heat at night. We still have nights getting down below 0 degrees Fahrenheit periodically. And that's obviously important to maintain heat so that you don't freeze up the underbelly of the camper. That said, as long as we have 110-volt electric and we still have reliable electric service here most of the time, I've got electric heater that can keep me going inside the camper. But the electric heater does nothing to keep the underbelly warm, and that's where all the plumbing is. So that's where the furnace comes in handy, and that's again why purchasing in advance a true 4-season camper is important as well. And that's one of the things that I do for people. If you visit my site, you'll find that on rvacrossamerica.net/buy-sell, that's where I run a concierge buying and selling service. So I advise people as to what is worth getting and what separates the good from the bad in the industry. And there's a lot of bad. So I work with people to get the better travel trailers, the better fifth wheels, the better motorhomes. And if you plan on staying in these things, believe me, it makes a difference. As far as the source of propane, at least at the moment here, there are several different propane suppliers, so that my concern moving forward, if there is going to be any kind of disruption because of coronavirus, ideally propane will continue to be accessible. But obviously, as with myself, I'm sure many of you have done some preparations. Many of you are watching this situation evolve, and I guess we're kind of all in this together, and we'll see where it goes. Well, long story short, Alan from rvacrossamerica.net. You have a wonderful day. Go back and if you want to see the details, I kind of get into numbers and figures and things like that on my site. It's again rvacrossamerica.net/independence. Hey, have a great day. It's good to be back with a new video, and I've got some more things to share with you, including water filtration, which is kind of along the same lines here, but something that really all RVers have to deal with. And there's smart ways to do it and not so smart ways to do it. And hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have a post out on that. Anyway, Alan from rvacrossamerica.net, you have a great day. Be good.